Tony Esposito, anyone remember him? Yeah, he was my hero. Yeah. He kind of used the butterfly style before anyone else did. It was pretty cool. Anyway, here we go. So yeah, it is really about passion. I think everyone here is probably here because of your passion for cycling, right? I mean, we love the sport for a whole bunch of different reasons, whether it's racing, touring, whether you're commuting. It's such a beautiful sport to be able to participate in so many different ways. Oh. Come on. Okay, next slide. All right. Just so happened that Jean Bobet, his brother, became a journalist, went to university in Scotland. French guy from Normandy, from a farm in Normandy, goes to school at university in Scotland. Crazy. And then his brother, Louison, convinces him to come back and be a pro racer on his team. So he finished his school and came back and turned pro, and he wrote this book called Tomorrow We Ride. It's sort of after this has all happened. So I'll read that to you. I want to read it. There's one chapter called La Volupté. The voluptuous pleasure that cycling gives you is delicate, intimate, ephemeral. And for you, do you know what ephemeral means? No. Very short, very short window of time. It comes and goes. Kind of like, what would be a good analogy there? Anyway, so, and I got to thinking, what were all the voluptuous moments in my cycling life? And yeah, you can think about a lot, but there are some that really stand out. And I want to tell you some of those stories tonight. All right, next slide. Sorry, I wish this thing worked. So, fast forward, I started racing in 1977. I had a paper route when I was 10, but when I started racing in 1977, I was 16, trying to stay in shape for hockey, and it was just a sideline. Then it turned out that my mom had ridden a bike a lot in England, and her grandpa had raced back in the day in Chichester in England. Wow, and all these stories started coming out. And so they encouraged me to ride some more and hooked me up with the Masters Club, and we went out and did a 10-mile time trial every Thursday night out at UBC, and went from there. And before I knew it, 2 years later, I'm on the BC provincial team going to Abitibi to this stage race. What's that? Wow. And lo and behold, I ended up winning it. And it was amazing. Part of the reason was because we had a track in Vancouver at the time. Oh, this is my membership for Mountain Club Co-op. 1983, I'll have you know. And riding on the track was really something that really was the catalyst for me to becoming a professional cyclist. Maybe it's a reach, but I don't think so. It kept me in the sport. It gave me my first success because of my hockey background. I had all this anaerobic power that I could just jet off the line and go really fast and hard for short distances. And it really got me. It really drew me in. And we were talking about this earlier today, but if you're at a track meet, you race a points race and you don't get every sprint right. You miss it out here and there, and well, I guess you messed that one up. But guess what? Half an hour later, there's another race, and you can go prove yourself again and try a different tactic. Try the different way the sprint runs and leads out. And we had so many great times together. The previous slide, just go back one. Yeah. So these are some of my junior buddies back in the day: Neil Davies, Brian Green, Corey Sinclair, Bruce Spicer was another one. Bruce works for Brody now. I don't know if he's one of the product managers there. But an amazing group of guys, and we had so much fun together. So there was voluptuous moments there that were just amazing. But I'm going to get to another one. Fast forward past the track. Now, whoop, we went too far. All right. So I went to Belgium, 1981, on my own. My mentor, friend, Ron Heyman, if you might have heard of Ron Heyman, used to be a professional cyclist. And he said, he was in Vancouver at the time, he said, Alex, you have to, if you want to do anything with this cycling thing, you're going to have to go to Belgium and test yourself. So he set me up. Maybe it's not on. I have to turn it on. Thank you, James. All right. So he set me up with a guy, and I went to Belgium on my own. Took a DND flight to Ottawa, flew over to Laar, Belgium, where the Canadian Forces base is. Maybe it's still there. I don't know. CFB Laar. Anyways, and then I had to take a train by myself. First time in Europe, no cell phones. Got off the train in Ghent, and had to find this guy's house in the middle of Ghent, bumping my bike box down the cobbled streets. I mean, crazy times. But I ended up going to, I don't know, probably in 2 months, I probably raced 20 races. And I had a chance, an opportunity to win quite a few of them. I ended up winning 5 different kermesse races, these circuit races they have in small towns in Belgium. And the feeling I had crossing the line, racing in Belgium on my own, figuring things out. No race radios, remember? You had to figure things out for yourself, was incredible. There were some semi-voluptuous moments there, but I'm going to get to some others later. So, 82, joined the 7-Eleven team. And wow, what an amazing experience. I mean, on the right, Jim Okowitz, you probably recognize him. On the far left, Danny Van Hout. He runs the Jelly Belly team now. Right? He was up here last year for Tour of Alberta. I made sure he came. And Mark Gorski, second from left. Now you might have read about him. He was part of Tailwind Sports and the U.S. Postal Tobacco, right? So there's some history there. So this was really the way that I started to understand the word team in cycling. When you race by yourself, and you race about 100 races a year, you might have a chance to win 20 races. You put yourself in the winning breakaway, you do all the right things, but maybe out of those 20 races, you do all the right things, everything works out in your favor on the sprint, you line yourself up just right, and you win 5 races. Out of 100 races, you only win 5. That's a pretty high loss ratio. That's not that much fun. But when you have a team, and you all win 5 races a year, and let's say there's 10 of you, or more or less on the team, which we didn't have big teams like they do now, that's 50 races a year. That's half the races you enter, you win. Never mind second, third, and so on. All of a sudden, that's a pretty good win ratio. So that really, when I started to put that together, the lights started to go on. We had some great training rides. This is in Tour of Texas. Davis Finney on the left, his son Taylor now races, of course, you probably know that. Myself, Ron Heyman there, third from left, Jeff Bradley. Tom Schuler on the right, Ron Kiefel. So yeah, we had some great times, and I still keep in touch with a lot of these guys. Camaraderie was amazing. We had some amazing rides. Again, really cool, voluptuous moments when you really couldn't feel your legs, you were just pedaling, and it was just magical days. We had some fun rides, just where we were at a training camp in Santa Barbara, and a guy took us out on these mountain bikes. Wow. Yeah, fun times. I think that's where Bob Roll discovered mountain biking. That's Bob Roll right there. And we had some fun times on the mountain bike as well. This is in Yugoslavia. We went for a training. We were in Italy, getting ready for the World Championships in Austria. We had a training camp in Italy, and we took our passports, went for a ride, rode into Yugoslavia. And this is a classic photo. I mean, I still forget all these guys who are here, but the Tito and Karl Marx maybe over here, but anyway, amazing. There's no way you'd see that today. You probably still see this on the road, in this concrete right here. B-roll, yes. Sorry, can you see that? Yeah. So these kind of antics were so much fun. We just made it up as we went, right? And just having fun on the way. Let me hold on for there because I want to tell you this story. So, 1984, I do the Olympics on the track in LA. And the rest of my 7-Eleven teammates, mostly Americans, all turned pro in 1985. But pro, meaning they're going to race road. They're going to go to the Tour de France, they're going to go to the Giro in 1985. I've been racing track with a few, sidelines on the road with the national team, and maybe, of course, some road racing in North America with 7-Eleven, but this is racing in Europe. This is big. And I knew I wasn't ready to go straight into racing road as a pro in 1985, so I signed up for the national team on the road in 1985 to go and race in Europe with the national team. So we'd done the Tour of Texas in March, and we've done some training camps, and then we went over and raced in Italy for a week-long stage. Doing some training races in Texas, okay, but we hit the, when we hit the front in the races in Italy, that was a shock. I mean, it was amazing how fast the guys were going. The Russian team was there, they were all in their red jerseys. That was the first time I'd seen a team go to the front as a team in an echelon, a crosswind, and they put one hand on each other's hip, one hand on the bars, and rode down the road in that echelon type format, and they only left room for the 6 guys, and the rest of us were in the gutter, hanging on for dear life, and they were just dropping guys like crazy on the crosswind. But they all had their one hand on each other guy in front, pushing each other like a train. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that. And I was just suffering every day. Thankful that race was over. I finished. It was stayed within the time limit each day, which was good. And Pierre Hutzebo, the coach at the time, was really encouraging us to stay in the race, and didn't really understand why. I was like, why am I doing this? This hurts. This sucks, actually. And but the next races we had were going to be in France and Belgium, and so we had about 5-6 days off between the end of the Italian stage race and a single day race called the Paris-Rouen, a one-day race in northern France. So Pierre had us all set up. We brought us up to the hotel, and got us the good food, made sure we went out for some training rides before this next race in northern France. And because of the hard work I'd done all the winter, probably put on about 8,000 kilometers all winter, low intensity, building up that base, and then building into the spring season, doing these training races and building up, having recovery times. It wasn't as structured as it is now, and we kind of we were winging it a bit with training and racing, and we have to go to these races, so I guess we have to go, and it didn't really work out that we had exact times to recover, not like they do now. It's much different. And we had that 5-day recovery, went into Paris-Rouen, and I felt good. I couldn't believe it. I was in this race, rolling hills. I was just riding in the front, feeling great. And I don't know if some of you guys are bike racers or have been bike racers, and some days you try to get into a breakaway and you try your hardest. I mean, you attack, you follow every move, you're staying at the front, you're just eyeballing everybody, right? And you cannot get in the break to save your life. Who's been there? Yeah, a few people. Yeah. But why? You can't. You don't know why. You just can't. Something just doesn't work. That day, as I say it, I fell into the breakaway. To this day, I don't even know how it happened. I can't even remember how I got into the break. But I can tell you this: I wasn't feeling my legs. I was feeling like I was in cloud 9. It was an amazing feeling, and I didn't realize at the time why I was feeling like that. Looking back now, I realized all of the training over the winter, all of the racing and rest periods and suffering in the early season races, the Italian stage race where I just suffered like a dog to stay with the pack. Having the recovery, all of a sudden now I'm feeling amazing. So we're in this break. We're probably 60K in of a 180 kilometer single day race. So you have to employ different tactics in a single day event versus a stage race. So you have to start thinking about how you're going to save your energy for the end. And we hadn't even pre-ridden the end. We didn't know what the finish looked like. Was it flat? Was it hilly? Was it headwind? Crosswind? What? I don't know. We'd have to make it up as we go, right? Race Bible wasn't very good back then either. Remember, kids, this was before the internet. You don't even know what that means. Hard to imagine. So we did have a chalkboard guy, and he was telling us, the gap was coming down. We're getting chased down. It's 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, and we had about 15, 20K to go. And I looked around at the guys on the break. There's like 5 of us, and I didn't know any of them. I've never raced with any of them. They didn't know me. I don't think any of them spoke English. And I just went, you know what? It's time to go. And how did I decide that? Look back. How did I decide it was time to make a move on my own? I don't know, but I felt it. And when you race enough and you're in this moment, you start to understand that you need to follow your instincts. And I felt good. My head felt good. It was time to go. And I found the right time. I'd just come off the back, off the front of the echelon, come to the back, had a nice rest. Faked through a turn. I might have missed a couple turns. Sorry, I kind of gapped the wheel. I guess I missed that turn, but really I was just resting at the back. Took a couple turns at the back, and then we did another turn. I attacked as hard as I could, and just buried myself. Didn't look back. That's the trick. Don't look back. And just went as hard as I could for about 200 meters. Looked back. I had to gap. Whoa. Wow. When you do that, when you attack and you have that gap, that is the most amazing feeling, right? Anyone done that? Yeah? It's cool, right? But now you've got 15K to go and you got to hold that gap. Right? Then the reality sets in. Wow. So, back then we didn't have the knowledge of aerodynamics that the guys now. Now they, when they're in the break by themselves or, in a solo effort, they put their hands up, they rest their hands on the bars now. They try to mimic the look of, the feeling of being on an aero bar because it makes a difference. We didn't know that. We just sort of tucked lower. And I was able to just keep going. I had it in the biggest gear, which was back then a 5312. We didn't have any 11s back then. You guys are lucky, now you have an 11. I was able to hold that. I was able to hold that pace and build the gap. And what happened was, back in the back, my teammates told me was, the peloton was getting pretty close to the break. And of course, at that time, as soon as the peloton can see the break, guess what? Everyone chases, right? They bring it back, you can see them. But I had attacked just at the right time, and it got away. Out of sight, out of mind. And, to this day, I know that, I left it all on the road. I was able to do that because of how I felt. I felt so good. But I was able to push myself to a new level that I never pushed myself to before, I think. The last kilometer ended up being a couple series of turns, and then I saw the finish line at the top of a hill. It wasn't a mountain, it was a hill. About 500 meters, the last 500 meters was hilly. So I know that if I would have been in the sprint, I would have been in the big chain ring, but I didn't have the legs for it. I had to shift to the small chain ring. I was praying that the chain didn't drop off. Because back then you had to be careful with how you used that down tube shifter, right? To make sure it didn't drop the chain off. And the right pressure on the pedals. Now the kids these days, they don't have to worry about that. I don't know. They're cheating. Anyway, I was able to finish that climb and win the race without anyone catching me. And I was shattered. I was sitting on the ground, just done. And what I didn't realize what happened was there was a coach from another team came up and talked to my coach, Pierre Hutzebo from Quebec, so he's obviously French speaking, and he spoke to him in French. I didn't know who it was. So after the race at the hotel, Pierre Hutzebo, my coach, said, "Yeah, do you know who that was that talked to me?" I said, "No." He said, "That was Cyril Guimard." Whoa. Well, he was like coaching the Renault team back then, right? And you know what his one question was? How old is that kid? And Pierre said, 24. And he shrugged his shoulders. Too bad. Yeah, because they're looking for guys who are 19, 20, 21, right? The ones that they can take and then put time into to develop. But I was too old at 24. Yeah, but you know what? It didn't matter. I felt great. That was you know, no one will ever have known that I won that race, but in my heart, my head, that was a voluptuous moment for me. That was such an amazing moment. So amazing to be able to do that day. Days, I went and talked to Jerry, as I called him. Jerry, what are we doing today? Hey, Alex, you come with me, huh? You follow me. On this climb, it's maybe, it was down in the Pyrenees. I had no idea what the climbs were, where we were. We'd never pre-ridden any of the race courses. But he says, hey, on this climb, we follow me. You come with me in the autobus. That's the group that falls to the back of the race and non-climbers. We might lose 5 minutes on the descent. We come back, we go faster, eh? And the next climb on the Tourmalet, we lose 3 minutes. We come down, we gain time. And then on the last climb of Super Bagnères, we have 20 minutes for the time limit. All right, Jerry, I'm with you, man. Good. And guess what? It worked out just the way he said it. It was his 12th Tour de France. And it was just the way he said, and we had time to make the time limit. We didn't have to stress. And I was able to continue on the Tour de France another day. Hang on for another day. Yeah. So finishing the tour that year, riding down the Champs-Élysées was such a pleasurable moment. It's so hard to explain what that means. I don't know. It was just an incredible feeling. Sorry, I forgot this one. Along the way, it crashed a few times as well. Yeah, rookie mistake. I'm sure there was this guy here, this Joker guy, was giving me a few choice words, but I didn't take him down. That was good. I just used a little too much front brake in that turn and learned my lesson. 2 stages to go. Right back there, 10th or 11th, Guido Bonjovi, as we called him. Guido Bontempi. We called him Bon Jovi. He didn't understand what that meant. Yeah, when you see a guy winning that close, wow. You got to get there one day, right? And these are the guys that finished the tour that year. B. Roll, Ron Kiefel, Raul Alcala, Mexican guy, myself, Jeff Pierce. It's one of our soigneurs. Shelley Versus, a soigneur for us. She was the first female soigneur that we brought to bike racing. Really shocked a lot of people. And that's Jim Hockowitz here, who went on to run the Motorola team. And yeah, so life goes on. You know, I continued racing until I was, until 1992. I was 31 years old, and I'd learned a lot about life and about bike racing. Didn't know a lot about a lot of other things, but I learned that you got to follow your heart. You got to understand. You got to listen to the signs. And at that point, I was able to, there was an opportunity to take this job with this bicycle company in Washington State, not that far away actually from Vancouver. It was an easy move, and they really wanted me to be their sales manager. And I went, you know what? I know some guys who are 40, this is back when I was 31, who are still trying to bike race. They don't look so good. So it was a good time. It was a good time to leave and do something new. And it was a good challenge, and I'm glad I did. So, I've been doing a few bike trips over the years. Anyone know who that is right there? Nope. This is Davis Finney. That's Taylor Finney. Yeah, he was about 15 years old, 14, 15 years old, at the Tour de France with us in 2003 or so, 2004. And Bob Roll right there. So we have the old boys here and one of the young guys coming up. Now he's kicking it. Right? Amazing. Amazing to see what Taylor Finney has been doing with his career. It's very, very cool. So he's having his his moments of passion now and his moments of suffering. Believe you me, you have to earn those moments. But it's been good, you know, to stay in touch with the guys and share those moments and be able to have the time and the space to be able to do it. Whoops. So we've had some amazing rides just on these groups that I take over to Europe or down to Maui, and we just have had some amazing days. Maybe in a different way, not in a racing way, but in a way where you can go and enjoy the riding because you've trained for it, you're fit, and you're able to go and have these kind of moments with your friends. And boy, that's special. Last year, I did Cape Epic, which is an 8-day mountain bike stage race in South Africa, last March. And trained all winter in Edmonton. Sam, my wife, can attest to that. Indoors Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Outdoors Saturday, Sunday, putting on the miles in the snow. But when I got to Cape Town, found my legs after a few days getting over jet lag. Boy, I had some good days on the bike. Oh my gosh. 8 days and 15,000 meters of climbing. It sounds daunting, but we took it one day at a time. I raced it with Tom Ritchie, the founder of the mountain bike, and boy, did we have some great times. We rode it with the Project Rwanda jerseys. Tom and I had gone over to Rwanda about 10 years ago for the first Wooden Bike Classic, and he had started this group for Project Rwanda. I was like, what's this? Wow. There's some guys with a camera there taking pictures, or video, pictures. It turns out they were making a movie, which is now called Rising from Ashes. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see that movie here in Alberta at some point in the future. It is really, truly an inspiring movie about these young kids who started bike racing in Rwanda after the genocide and have learned to carve a new life for themselves from nothing, literally nothing. Pretty amazing stuff. So let's fast forward to the Tour of Alberta this year. There's a video here from last year, so let's have a look at some of the highlights from last year's race. It's coming. There should be some music, but you get the gist of it.
To acknowledge all of the great volunteers, the Peloton Association, the communities that have been involved in this wonderful, wonderful experience. We're very proud of every volunteer, every sponsor, every community that got involved in this great initiative. It's been a super opportunity for us to show the world our home, where we live, the place that we're so proud of, one of the most beautiful places on earth that you could live. So thank you, congratulations, and I already can't wait for next year. How about you? Thanks.
Alberta was on full display for this cycling festival, and each day this province showed off its majesty. Over 800 kilometers covered from Edmonton in the north to the southwest corner and Calgary. Athletes were challenged by the course. They interacted with the fans. And you know, the province of Alberta in its beauty did not disappoint. The prologue followed by 5 challenging stages, and when it was all said and done, only one man was able to wear the yellow jersey as king of Alberta.
Magical moment there,
right? Tour. Albertans showed their enthusiasm, their passion, and their Western pride. It was indeed a pleasure to do the Tour of Alberta. For our fabulous crew on the ground, on motorcycle, and in the air, we thank you for your efforts. To Courtney Terrio, Alex Stieda, I'm Rob Foles. Take care, everybody. See you next time in Alberta.
Watch the prologue in Calgary. If anything you do, the night of September 2nd is when you bring your friends to wherever the course is going to be in Calgary, and you show them what bike racing is. Okay? The stage in Lethbridge, the next day is a circuit race in Lethbridge, so yeah, it's a little drive, but it's going to be a circuit race. It's not just watch it start and see them go away. You're going to see them come around a course probably 10 or 12 times up one of the steep hills in Lethbridge. That'll be a great race to watch. It is a Tuesday, sorry, it'll be a Wednesday, so yes, it's a work day, but maybe you can book that time off. Yeah. The next day is going to be a start in Innisfail, and the race will go west to the Rockies, maybe to Cowboy Trail north, and then come back and finish in Red Deer. And the Red Deer will probably be a circuit finish again, although a lot of this is to be determined, but that's probably the way it's going to go. The next day, which will be a Friday, the stage will start in Wetaskiwin and finish in Edmonton. It's somewhere undisclosed location yet, so that'll be fun. The next day will be a stage around Edmonton, finishing in Sherwood Park. Sherwood Park had a start last year, and they kind of grudgingly said, all right, we'll have the start, but next year we want the finish. Don't mess around with Sherwood Park, Strathcona County. Those guys are tough. So, all right, they got the finish this year. And then the final day in Edmonton on the Sunday will be a circuit race again, about 12 laps of a 10-kilometer loop or so in downtown Edmonton using the River Valley Hill, and that'll be a great race to come up and watch too. So some people here may be asking, why does Edmonton get so many stages? Maybe are you asking that? Yeah, you were asking that. Well, unfortunately, it comes down to economics. That's the bottom line. The Edmonton region, Edmonton and the regional communities really came up with more money. And because of the International Triathlon, we had to finish in Edmonton. That kind of drove the race that way anyway. So, can it be different next year? Absolutely. Yes. Can it be different every year? Absolutely. It really depends on people like you who rally, who call their city councilors, their mayors, surrounding communities, corporate sponsors. That's what drives it. When we get passionate people behind a local organizing committee, amazing things start to happen. And we've had some amazing people take charge of their local committee. A guy named George Berry from Red Deer. He's an architect, runs an architecture firm there. He came to one of my skills camps, thanks for mentioning that, James, about 5 years ago. We went to Jasper. He drove in from Red Deer, took his trailer and camped there and did my skills camp and went home, just turned him into a new rider. And as soon as he heard about the Tour of Alberta, he was like, Alex, send me an email. Do you think we could have Red Deer in that race? I said, absolutely. It's up to you. You got to help. So he did. He stepped up. And it was amazing. He's done so much work. His wife's kind of tired of it right now, but he's now delegating his tasks so that other people can take the load off his shoulders. Smart man. But he's doing all the right things, which is really cool. So we're going to see the Garmin guys again this year. We're going to see the Belkin team for sure. Those are the two teams we know for sure. Of course, Garmin, I don't know if you knew that, they have an office in Cochrane. Yeah, called Dynastream right now. They developed the N+ technology that anytime you use your Garmin device or quite a few other devices, it transmits the data via N+, or it pulls in data by N+ from the different sensors on your bike. That was developed in Cochrane. Pretty cool. Yeah, not too many people know that. Garmin bought the company, Dynastream, and it's called Dynastream. You're going to learn about Ant Plus right after I'm finished. She's somewhere here. There she is. Yay! One of the engineers. So if you're techie, you're going to learn a lot about Ant Plus, which is cool. Might even tell you what's coming in the future. Little NDA. We'll sign an NDA. Everyone here, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So Garmin's going to come again, which will be cool. Don't know about Cannondale, but I know some of the local bike shops in Edmonton are already talking about, yeah, we're going to do some stuff with Peter Sagan when he comes to town. So yeah, well, maybe Peter Sagan comes. Did everyone see this lasso thing? Wasn't that cool? Yeah, with your own eyes, you were there. Yeah. I mean, what a guy! What a way to showcase, the passion of cycling with Peter Sagan. The guy is amazing. When I was covering the one note about Sagan, we were covering the finish in Camrose when he won the stage, and he crosses the line, hands in the air, and then he does this, like this. Like, what the heck is that? He's smoking? Okay. So then I thought, okay, what did he do the day before? Oh, he won the prologue. And where was that? Churchill Square. Winston Churchill. Smoking a cigar. Wow. I mean, to think of that, it's unbelievable, right? The kid is amazing, so it's so cool that, it's not just the old school sprinting, put your hands up, yeah, that was a great day, and say all the right words, and a lot of these guys, they race all over the world, and they could do that. But when someone like Peter Sagan shows up and does this, boy, it's special. That's the passion of cycling that we love to see. I was fortunate to be able to present the best team jersey to the BMC guys, so that champagne stings the eyes, man. It really does. And Ryder Hesjedal being here, wow, what can you say, right? What a great guy. And, I will mention this, he did have a transgression with doping back in about 2003 when he was a mountain bike racer. He wanted to make, no, it was 2003, was it 2003? I think it was 2003 where he said he was trying to make the Olympic team. And he succumbed. He succumbed to the pressure. And I, in some ways understand, but it's too bad, obviously. And I think he, the fact that he was able to come out and say it and admit it and move on, hopefully that has made a difference for some other people in the sport. So. Yeah, it was great to see the passion and the support, the provincial government, city governments, municipal governments, just amazing. And the corporate support, of course, too, was amazing. So we'll finish with this. There's more in Jean Bobet's book. I encourage you to pick up that book. Tomorrow We Ride. But he says, La volonté, it arrives, it takes hold of you, sweeps you up, and then leaves you again. It is for you alone. It is a combination of speed and ease, force and grace. It is pure happiness. It doesn't say the word cycling anywhere in there, does it? He's talking about riding his bike. Wow. Amazing. When you have some of those days, if you have one of those days, you'll understand what that means. And I hope one day, if you haven't had a day like that on your bike, I hope one day you will. It takes a lot of work, sometimes some suffering to get through some bad days. Could be snowing out on a day and you're out riding and you got to persevere. But it's worth it because those days are very, very special. So thank you very much for coming, and I really appreciate all your support. Thank you.